Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo and it's great to be on the show again. Now today is special because it's all about children, young people. Now we're all worried about Nigeria. For the past 62 years, Nigeria has not realized her potential. We are worried about corruption, poor infrastructure, country in a mess, so many things. A lot of us, a lot of people are not happy about in Nigeria. But if we want to fix Nigeria, we need to begin to think about our young people. We need to begin to invest in preparing the future generation of leaders. It's very important. If we don't do that, then we are the most foolish of all, and I'm sure we are not. So we better sit up and start investing into our children who will be the leaders of tomorrow. Now, today is all about children, like I said, and this brilliant woman, she's a speaker, she's a trainer, she's a role model, and she's a successful professional. Odunayo Sanya has written this book titled Alphabets of Leadership for Young Minds. It's a fantastic book for young people. And she joined a group of children at an event organized by Latana Bookshop for children to celebrate the last Children's Day. And she read from this book. Now, before we go into the report on that event, let me read something she wrote in this book and get you thinking, as it got me thinking. If everyone is born with an essentially similar brain, I don't believe we all have the same brain, with more or less the same potential for achieving greatness. Everybody has a potential to achieve greatness. Why is it then that only a limited number of people seem to truly realize their full potential and excel in life? In a practical sense, she wrote, this is the most important question for every individual to answer. Wow, thought-provoking. The future of our nation and the world depends on the next generation of leaders. For the younger generation, to realize their full potential as leaders, we must prepare and develop them early. So if we are thinking about Nigeria, the next 62 years, we've done 62 already. This is the 63rd year. We need to begin to prepare the next generation of leaders. And that's what people like Odunayo, Sanya, and Latana, and the rest of them are doing, getting our young people, our children together and planting, sowing those seeds in their hearts. Enjoy this report.
Pupils and teachers are present to participate in a special book reading session organized by Latana Books to mark Nigeria's Children's Day, which holds on May 27th of every year. Before the highlights of the gathering, pupils are taken on a bookstore tour. After the tour, the children settle in to listen to the guest author, Odunayo Sanya, as she reads and discusses her book, Alphabets of Leadership for Young Minds.
Someone should just hazard an alphabet. It's about you today. Yes. Your name?
Chuba.
Chuba. Okay.
Letter C.
Letter C. Wow. Chuba starts with C, right? Awesome. Courageous Chuba. Okay, so C. Letter C is courage. And it starts with a quote, and it says, "Courage is the music that turns dreams into reality." Courage is the music that turns dreams into reality. The quote is from Astor and Richard Abend, and it starts with a story. I'm going to ask questions, so please pay attention. Efe's story started as a young boy. His biggest fear in life was fear itself. Not fear of the dark or real things, but the fear of day-to-day living. Fear of taking a leap, even across a narrow gutter. Fear of attempting anything at all, because he was always afraid of the what if. So Efe held himself back because he was afraid. He kept saying, what if it didn't go well? What if it didn't work well? He had so much fear, and he missed out on so many opportunities to excel. He was also often afraid that he will always feel this way, scared and feeling lonely. It seemed impossible to him that he could ever change, mainly because anxious thoughts were all he had ever known. The older Efe grew, the more fearful Efe became. He was timid and fretful through elementary and high school, through university, and even when he started work. However, one day, Efe had had enough after he was fired. Now Efe had grown. Efe lived his childhood always guessing, thinking he wasn't good enough, thinking things wouldn't turn out well. What if, what if? And so even if he wanted to answer a question, he wouldn't raise his hand. Even if he had a strong, good, perspective on something, he wouldn't speak up. And he got used to that, and he lived in that fear. Even as an adult, he lived in the fear and got fired, from a job he really loved because he lacked the confidence and courage to face his bosses, to make a presentation that he was supposed to make. This really upset him, and it gave birth to a desire in him to change. Remember, if he was now grown up, he did not know how he would change, but he knew there had to be a way to do it. Now, if his ultimate fear now became living the rest of his life in fear, as he realized fear also has a companion called failure. So the fear of living in fear became Efe's greatest motivation for him to change. He told himself that he had just two options. He can choose to be fearful forever, or he can choose to work against his fear. Now, he made the choice to work against his fear. Living in fear for over 20 years had done enough damage to his life. He was determined, and so he found the courage to face everything he had been afraid of before, not minding that he might even appear stupid in front of people. He started taking a chance on more productive activities, things that he always wanted to do but had been too afraid because he was consumed with what if. If he found courage by facing his fears head on, he began making time to learn, to develop and hone his skills. He was very skillful, very brilliant, but fear kept, him in the dark. It was tough initially. People doubted him and laughed at him. Even his friends laughed at him. But he found the courage to laugh at himself. When things didn't go well, he would laugh at himself instead of taking it too seriously. And he would determine to do it in a better, way. He eventually became recognized and respected for his work. After more than 20 years of living in fear, Efe finally changed his outcome to one of stunning success in his industry, and he found courage to make his dreams a reality. Efe's story brings us to the leadership alphabet, C, which is courage.
The people speak about the lessons from the reading session.
I think that we should always be courageous and we should not be afraid to stand up when you have a good idea.
I learned that not always to stay in your safe spot like I did when I was playing piano.
While countering the saying that Africans don't read, Nigerian children here speak on their favorite books and why they read.
Usually I read because it's usually interesting and it's another way to entertain yourself other than like watching.
Reading gives me more information and inspires me to write my own book. Well, my favorite books are usually who are or who is. Like for who is William Shakespeare, who is Gandhi, what was the Ice Age, and where's the Bermuda Triangle. I don't time myself by reading because I think reading is just something enjoyable for me.
One of the teachers here speaks on how she encourages her pupils' reading habits.
Encouraged them to read because while we were growing up, we always hear that readers are leaders of tomorrow. And when you read, you have a vast knowledge of information. You get to develop your vocabularies, and we also encourage them, particularly the dictionary in our school. We have what we call reading club, so we teach them how to use their right diction, how to look for new words. When they come across any new word, they read. It builds their vocabulary, it gives them more information, that's just it.
A pupil here reads from the book Alphabets of Leadership for Young Minds.
My name is Tualoluwa Falonikwe, pupil of Grace Academy, and I'm going to be reading from the book Alphabet of Leadership for Young Minds. Letter I, integrity. Integrity is knowing when to walk away from an opportunity because it is not in alignment with your core values. It is being consistent in character when everyone is watching and when nobody is watching. Integrity always begs the question, if nobody is watching, what will you do? Will this be different from what you would do if all eyes were on you? Beyond morality, integrity is delivering 100% all the time. It is not delivering 100% on Monday and 30% on Tuesday. 100% all the time. It is making sure that the quality of your output is unquestionable and that your word is your bond.
The pupils thereafter visit the various book stands in the store to pick new books they would like to read. One of the organizers speaks on the motive behind the reading session.
It's an annual event for us. Amongst other events that we celebrate here, we also have the What Book Day events, the summer book reading sections and all of that. But for this year's Children's Day, we just feel like encouraging children to read, encouraging good reading habits in children.
The special Children's Day reading session is an attempt to catch them young and inspire a reading culture.
Small seeds being sown in the hearts of those children, and hopefully they will germinate and become very important for us in the future. We need to keep sowing those seeds in the hearts of our children. We need to keep investing in preparing young people of today for leadership roles tomorrow. That's what people like Odunayo, Sanya, Latana, and the rest of them are doing, and we need to keep doing that. Well, up next is another young person, this time a 14-year-old teenager who has written a brilliant book. It was a pleasure and a delight to look into her book, go through her book, and then speak to her. Enjoy this conversation with Harmony Banwo.
Harmony Banwo is a 14-year-old author who is passionate about writing. She's the youngest daughter of Nigerian immigrants, Dr. Okpe and Nike Banwo, whom she lives with in Omaha, Nebraska, USA. Harmony, who started writing at age 8, wrote, directed, and acted in her first play while still in kindergarten at the age of 9. Her dream is to win a Nobel Prize for fiction stories and to perform at the prestigious Rose Theatre. Harmony joins Channel's book club to discuss her book, Shattered Windows, which she authored at age 13.
Hello, Harmony. Nice to have you on Channel's book club.
Hi. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. How are you doing, and how is the United States?
I am doing fine. The United States is fine in Omaha, Nebraska.
Great. Harmony, you are Nigerian, right? Well, you are American, you are Nigerian. Tell me a bit of your story. Have you visited Nigeria before? Or you've lived all your life in the US?
No, I have not visited Nigeria, but I am Nigerian. My dad visits all the time, but I live in Omaha, Nebraska.
Fantastic. So we are looking forward to having you in Nigeria and hosting you here in Nigeria. You'll love it.
Yes.
Okay, and you are 14 years old.
Yes, I am 14 years old.
You wrote your book, which we are focused on today, Shattered Windows. You wrote it when you were 13, is that right?
Yes, I did write it when I was 13.
Okay, so there I was, when I saw your book, I said to myself, who writes a book at 13? You tell me, who writes a book at 13?
Yeah. I don't know. I was just really inspired of writing, and I've always loved writing growing up. So it was always a part of me when I wrote this book.
That's good. So when did you fall in love with books? What's your story? Do your parents read a lot? How did that happen for you? Because I know for you to be a writer, oftentimes you are somebody who loves to read.
I've read many books, and my parents read a lot of books, so I've always been around writing and reading books. And my favorite subject in school is English, so I've always been wanting to write and read books. So I've always been writing, even when I was 5.
Now, let's talk about Shattered Windows. Somebody's out there wondering what your book is about. Let's introduce your book to viewers watching. What's Shattered Windows about?
My book, Shattered Windows, is about a girl that was born into this world to die or to kill her mother. Her mother has a mental illness, which makes her mom act crazy, and she wants to die, so she birthed a child to get rid of her. So she has the choice to either die herself or to kill her mom.
Wow, that's a difficult place to be. I mean, let's talk about the, first of all, tell me what inspired this book, and then let's talk about its central themes. What's the story behind your book?
Well, growing up, I would always see on news and just like in papers that people were in abusive households and they were told to do many things that they never wanted to do. And I feel like it was not talked about. And I feel like adult mental illness is also not talked about a lot. So I wanted to take that into my own consideration and write it in a book. And this book started off with me just writing a couple sentences in Google Docs and not really thinking it was going to go anywhere till I showed it to my family members and they really liked the book. So then I started taking the book seriously.
So who did you have in mind when you wrote this? Other teenagers like yourself or adults, or who did you have in mind?
I was aiming for people in my school, like teenagers and also like young adults, I feel like young adults could really enjoy this book, having it being like mature, I guess, and not just like a little kid's book. But I also feel like kids my age can also really enjoy this book and relate to it.
Okay. Now, that's choice. Let's talk about that choice. I'm curious to know how your mind works. You put your protagonist in a situation where she had to choose between her life and that of her mother. That's an extremely tough choice. How was your mind working when you crafted that as the plot, to your story? How was your mind working? Does that plot give me an insight into your mind as a person?
I feel like the story, like I feel the way I write, I think like really emotionally, and I try to I kind of put that into my book, that you can tell how my mind works like emotionally. Like I drag out a lot of like scenarios, and I have like very descriptive words and stuff, because that's just how I feel and that's how I think too. But also the way I think is that I don't go through the stuff that she went through, but I feel like it was very important for someone to know and to hear, because I know there's someone out there that does go through the same thing. So my mind just kind of thinks out of my own perspective. Like I have empathy for people that do go through that. And I wanted to express that while writing my book.
Great. Now, there are a lot of young people here in Nigeria who want to read your book. I know your book. We can't find your book in bookstores in Nigeria. I hope you're planning to make that happen. But I'm sure your book can be found on Amazon. Is that correct?
Yes, my book is on Amazon and on Goodreads, and we will find a way to bring it to your guys' bookstore.
In Nigeria, we're waiting for that. We're waiting for that. Great. Now, let's talk a little bit more generally now, Harmony. This question is very important for me. Young people all over the world, it's not just a Nigeria thing. Young people, teenagers all over the world are so caught up with social media and, the new age movement and entertainment and creative arts and so on. Not many are very fascinated about books and writing. Is that a correct observation? And what do you think about that?
I feel like a lot of people are not very interested in like writing and like making books, because like it's a subject in school and people just are trying to get through it. So a lot of people are not very interested in that. And also with the upright of social media, a lot of people just like watching movies or like watching TikToks or YouTube videos. Like writing, no one really takes seriously nowadays.
So why are you different? Or maybe you're not.
I feel like I love social media, but I feel like also part of me likes doing like the old things. And I feel like it's more time consuming, because being on social media a lot can be very draining, and it's just not a good environment sometimes on social media.
Interesting. So I'd like you to leave us with which authors have inspired you. I'm sure you're planning to write your second and your third books. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. So which authors have inspired you, and what type of books do you love to read?
Unfortunately, I don't read that many books, but I am inspired by a lot of movie creators and a lot of people that make stories like and turn it into documentaries. Watching those give me kind of idea to write my own book, because in my book I have like lots of detail that might make it like you can see the scene. So I feel like I'm very inspired by people that make thriller movies and like adventure movies, because I feel like that's more interesting than like superhero movies and like love movies. I really like thriller movies. For example, I like Friday the 13th, like those like really like old.
That is not a thriller movie, is it?
It's a horror movie, but still, I really is.
Okay. That helps to understand you as a writer a lot. Thank you very much, Harmony. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and talking to us about your book and taking us into your writing world. Thanks for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
Exceptional young lady there, Harmony, and there are so many young people, talented, full of ideas and brilliant things in their minds. We just need to unlock all that potential in our young people in this country, and the country will become truly great. If we fail to do that, then it's sad, but the struggle continues, as our people will say. But this is where we have to draw curtains on the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.